Bienvenidos. Welcome to Marta Empowers. I am your host, Marta Villegas Miranda, an unafraid educator and advocate in higher education for the past 20 years. Today, I am delighted to speak with Ms. Ana Campa Castillo, an extraordinary student and community activist leader whom I've had the privilege of working with when I was a multicultural pathway coach at Joliet Junior College, the first public community college in the nation. Bienvenida, Ana.
Muchas gracias, Marta. Glad to be here.
Over the years, I've had the honor of working and hearing the stories of undocumented students. I know it's not easy to come out of the shadows and tell your story and immigration status to a higher educational professional. It takes a lot of courage and trust. And I'd like to publicly take this moment to say thank you. Muchas gracias from the bottom of my heart to all the students who have come out to me and trusted me with their story, their journey, and their life. I felt honored to earn your trust, and at the same time, a great responsibility to make sure that you were afforded the same educational access and opportunities as any other student. I have and will continue to support our undocumented students and their families, and that is why I have invited Ms. Ana Campa Castillo to not only share her inspirational story, but to give hope to those who feel hopeless that a college education is not within your reach. Undocumented students are an integral and important part of our higher education community who are trying to acquire skills and knowledge to enter the workforce and contribute to our economy. I am here to tell you that yes, you can. Sí se puede. Earn and afford a college education as an undocumented student. It may take more resources, more time, more scholarships, more planning to reach this dream. And our very special guest today is an extraordinary example of this determination, resiliency, and ganas to achieve this dream. Welcome, bienvenida, Ana, to the Marta Empowers podcast.
Oh, thank you, Marta. Like I said, glad to be here, excited to share with you.
To give you more information about Ana's background, Ana arrived in the United States over 20 years ago from Mexico City. In 2012, she began her activism with different organizations in the immigrant rights movement. As a DACA recipient and dreamer, she graduated from Joliet Junior College with an Associate in Arts and Bachelor's degree in Psychology from National Louis University. Currently, she is pursuing a master's degree in science in clinical psychology. As a first-generation student and mother of two beautiful children, Ana maintains a full-time job and dedicates her limited free time to social causes that are important to her community, such as education and immigration. Ana is driven, dedicated, and a purposeful leader who has campaigned for the passage of the SB 957 Illinois TVDL licenses, Temporary Visitor Driver's License, and Healthy Illinois. Actively participated in multiple DACA workshops, citizen workshops, and registering people to vote. Ana is a recipient of numerous scholarships, one of which is the National The Dream U.S. Scholarship, which awarded her $31,000 to complete her bachelor's degree. Currently, Ana works at the Spanish Community Center in Joliet, Illinois, as a welcoming center manager. In this role, she interacts with the immigrant and refugee community on a first-hand basis to assist them holistically and ensuring their success by eliminating barriers to approaching services needed through case management or referrals. Ana speaks to first-generation bilingual families in the Will County area about college access, resources, and scholarships. Ana is a leader and a member of Mujeres de ACE, the National Society of Leadership and Success, and the Multicultural Leadership Academy. Ana, you give our families en comunidad hope, esperanza. So cuéntame, ¿quién es Ana?
Ana. Ana viene de hija de José Raúl y Beatriz. I am the daughter of José Raúl and Beatriz, two Mexican immigrants who came to the States seeking better opportunity for their daughters. I proudly pronounce myself as Mexicana. I am a mother. I am a wife. I'm a student. I'm a professional, and I'm also a very passionate advocate. That's me.
And I want to say that one of the reasons why I wanted to invite you to the Marta Empowers podcast, because I feel that your story is very inspirational. I remember you would come to my office every semester for academic advising, and I always felt that you were a very mature, responsible student at the community college level to take your education seriously. And I find that a lot of undocumented students who are self-pay, who have to pay out of pocket, who don't have access to financial aid, tend to take more responsibility for their educational journey because they can't afford to retake a class because it's just going to be another cost to the family. So I wanted you to come and share your story and to share what were some of your barriers, but what kept you motivated? What kept you going with your education? Who was part of your support team? And what advice do you have for those who are listening? So first of all, tell me, what type of barriers did you have accessing a college education besides some of the ones that were already mentioned?
I think the biggest one was time. I was coming to higher ed as an adult student, basically at 25. And at that time, I was being a mother of a 6-year-old who obviously was starting also kindergarten. I was a paraprofessional, so I did not seek to stay in retail, which was my job for about 5 years as management in retail. I was seeking better opportunities for my family just because of, again, time. I was spending so much time away from. My schedules were always varied. So I saw my paraprofessional license to work at an elementary school. So I had just started my job there, and I really liked it. I got to work with bilingual students from kindergarten all the way to 6th grade, helping them build their reading skills. So I was working with the lowest of the lowest readers in each classroom. And what I saw was that there needed to be more bilingual support, not only for the child, but for the families to understand how important reading was and what they can do to support their kids. And to get them to a reading level that would, put them next to their peers and not delay any further learning. It was there at the elementary school that I was asked, why do you not have a college degree? And, at that moment, it felt kind of awkward. I had never come out as to my status. So I had just been awarded DACA. And I told them, well, college was never something that I saw coming after high school. It was just work and provide for my family. So at that time, they're like, well, you have this opportunity right now. Why not go back to college? So I think that's where I first found my support in those peers and colleagues of mine at the elementary school. I decided to go into finding out what I needed to go into college because I didn't have friends that went to college. I didn't have family members who attended college. So I had no idea what I needed to do. So I went to the community college nearby, which was actually College of DuPage. That was my first community college. And went to register, was asked why I hadn't enrolled in college before, told them about my 6-year-old and, working all the time. And they told me that I could have a flexible schedule, that if I wanted to take evening classes, that was possible, that I did not have to become a full-time student right away, if that was not something that I foresee as something doable. So I like that. I began with one class, and then the next semester I took 2 classes, and then I understood that this was something that I can do. Definitely an expense. Yes. Because even one class was like $500. So definitely had to budget for that. But I had again, my colleagues who were supporting me. I had my husband at the time who also took the risk to support me financially speaking, just because we were a dual, earning household. So we were both working to make our ends meet. So one of us taking time out of what we were already doing to support this was. And then my parents were always proud of me deciding to choose college. They didn't really understand what registration meant and how I picked my classes or what I wanted to do at the end of the goal. They were just interested that I was enrolled in higher education, and that was enough for them. So I had that as well. Then I moved to Will County, and that's where I decided to continue, but at Joliet Junior College, where I actually felt a little bit more at home. This is my third semester in community college. And I said to myself, you know what, if I don't become a full-time student now, I'm not going to finish. It's, I have to commit to this if I want to actually achieve my degree. So I decided to become a full-time student. And that came with its own challenges, right? First, there was a new college, so I had to navigate new teachers, new advisors, new system of finding your classes online and how to go about them, and the usual new college experience through orientation, right? But what I found at JJC that I did not find at COD was a little bit more of a family. I decided to participate in clubs, not just make a routine of school and then go back to home, but actually try to engage with what was happening in my community college to better support myself, right? Because the more that you know about resources, the better advantage you have of taking them. And the other part was I like helping. I like helping people, and I like to participate in new things that are going to build my knowledge about my own community. Will County was now my community. And I found that through Latinos Unidos. So I engaged in extracurricular activities. So I was at the club. That actually created a bridge for an internship at a community center in my area. So I became an intern at the immigration department for the Spanish Community Center during one summer. And I loved it because I was already a good advocate of immigrant and refugee rights project,
SSIP.
which is in Bolingbrook. Yes. I was a member of. So I already liked to go to marches and advocate for immigrant and refugee rights. As a dreamer and a DACA recipient, I was so grateful for those who came before me and offered this pathway for me to be able to pursue this dream. So I wanted to give back and, advocate for others who have not gotten this opportunity. Yeah, that internship was a real eye-opener to how wide our community is in the suburbs here in Illinois. So I was grateful for that. Through Latinos Unidos, and obviously Martha, you were amazing support for me. Even though I was just interested in getting my associates in arts, just getting a college degree. And, even though to some an associate's may seem small, to me it was big. But you helped me open my eyes on how much more I could do for myself. You opened.
I know it's I thank you for allowing me to be part of your educational journey. I know it's been hard, and just hearing you, the struggles that you had to go through. And I think you were an exceptional student because you never gave up. And I thank you for sharing. And I know it gets emotional because trying to find that sense of familia on a college campus is hard. And I guess for me, it's always been about how can I help students feel welcome and included in our educational system, in our educational community. And so thank you, Ana, for being open to joining Latinos Unidos, which is a student organization at Joliet Junior College. And there may be a lot of Latino organizations at campuses across the country. So I really encourage you, if you're a student, to join these organizations because they not only provide a sense of home, a sense of familia, but they also provide you connections, like Anna was saying. It connected her to an internship in the community. I know firsthand that it connected you to scholarship and leadership opportunities. And so it's really important that you get involved. I know it's going to sacrifice some of your time, perhaps with your family. So it is a balancing act, especially as a returning adult student with 2 children. There are some sacrifices that you have to make, but you have to keep your long-term dream present and know that you will, after all these sacrifices, achieve your goals and your dreams. So I just wanted to say thank you. And I know this has been a hard journey for you, and I thank you for sharing it with our audience. And I know we get emotional because it has been an emotional process, and it is for many of our undocumented students. So thank you. I do want to say that Anna was selected in 2018 to serve as a special guest by an Illinois congressman to attend the State of the Union in Washington, D.C., one of 2 guests in the area to attend the speech of the president. And so when Anna became involved on her campus and in her community, all these opportunities started to open up because she was opening herself up to get involved, to attend conferences and leadership events, to really fully develop herself. And that's something that I hope students who are listening take advantage, that there are people on your campus who want to provide these opportunities to you to really fully develop yourself as a person. And my goal through this podcast is to really help students reach their full potential. But again, it takes a village. It takes a lot of people in your community to get to where you are. Right, Anna?
Definitely. I feel like sometimes if we can't imagine it, if it's not something that we've seen before, we can't imagine it. It's hard to imagine. So when somebody else brings that opportunity to you and says it is manageable, you can do it, then it opens a whole new world of opportunities. And you no longer limit yourself to something, that you thought that was as far as you were going to get. And to me, that was, again, through getting that associates, it brought me to meet all my, friends, right, from Latinos Unidos. It got me to you as a professional. And that got me to envision a bachelor's, a bachelor's that was going to actually open more opportunities to actually me being able to assist others in a more congruent, more, passionate level. So I always knew that I wanted to do psychology, but I saw it as a really like un sueño aguado, no? Like it's something that, it's there and it's great that you have it, but maybe not realistically speaking at the moment. And actually it became something of a reality. Like you said, me being able to participate and engage more within my community college allowed me to pursue further opportunities, like talking to a congressman about my situation, right? And what could be done for individuals like me, for adult students who are going back to college, and for immigrant and refugee students who are not open about their status, but then again, need this different support organizations within the college to build on that and to continue pursuing their dreams and their education that allow them to continue contributing even further into our communities.
Yes, I remember it was your last semester at JJC, and as an academic advisor, you were coming into my office just to check in. Am I on the right path to graduate? And I remember asking you this question, Anna, what's next? What happens after JJC, after you get your associate's degree? Do you remember that conversation, that moment?
Yes. I was actually, I was happy just to get the degree, just because I remember that at that moment, my husband obviously had been through the whole 6 years of community college with me, right? Since the first class at COD till now that I was graduating. And we had decided that he was actually going to enroll in community college. He was going to do his associates in applied arts. So I was like, well, I'm just gonna work, right? That was my goal. I was gonna work, and he was gonna go to school, and basically we were just gonna switch roles for a couple of years.
Yes, and I remember asking you, because as a Latina in higher education, one who cares about my students and the community, I remember asking you, what if you had a scholarship that paid for the rest of your bachelor's degree? Because I knew there was a scholarship out there called the Dream US Scholarship. And working with Anna every semester, and this is something that I encourage all students to work very closely with their academic advisor, we were able to talk about what was next. And for me, it was very easy to tell Anna that she should apply because you met all the criteria for the scholarship. You were a leader on campus and in the community. You had excellent grades. You had determination and ganas. And I remember saying, I'm like, it's not a guarantee, but let's apply. And let me help you with the application process. Let me write a letter of recommendation. Let's see how we can get you to get the scholarship so you can transfer and get that bachelor's degree. And that took a lot of preparation and planning. It wasn't something that happened overnight. So the guidance and support of one another, I remember the day that you came to my office to tell me that you had received this scholarship. So congratulations. And again, you are an example of to our students that yes, si se puede, with the ganas and determination and faith and support that you can get an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree and beyond, that credentials, those are very important for the workforce. So I want to talk to you about the scholarship. Like, how did you prepare to apply for it? Any advice for those who might be interested? Now, mind you, that this scholarship is open to students who are undocumented, but with DACA status.
Correct. And right now, I believe or
TPS, correct?
Yeah, but as long as you fit the criteria for DACA, and you're either graduating high school or graduating community college at the time, right, then you are able to apply for this. And definitely, if you're coming out of high school, it either applies for your community college career or 2 years of your bachelor's. And if you're coming out of your community college, then it would cover the rest of your bachelor's. Definitely, I remember when you told me about it, I felt intimidated. I felt like that was something that was, first of all, it's a national scholarship. Like, what makes my story any more significant than anybody else's, struggle. And it was, I doubted myself a lot to even think this was possible. But then if it was the question of what do I have to lose, right?
Exactly.
So it's open and it's available for anyone, and it really is not complicated application in which is inaccessible for some. And like you said, Martha, if you have an academic advisor in your community college or in your high school, definitely reach out for support from them. But if you don't, it's also not something that's going to stop you from applying. It's something that, with the right steps and reading everything correctly, you can do it, and anybody can do it. So I just remember opening my heart in the essays that they required and talking about who I really was, where I come from, and what motivates me to continue studying. What is it? Where does my drive come from? Because at the end of the day, I think in higher education, your drive your drive and your why, right? Why are you doing this? Have to be strong enough to push through those doubts, through the fears, through anything that gets thrown your way, because you're experimenting life while you're experimenting, learning about life. So there's going to be things that come unexpectedly. I had a baby while studying, I was a mother already. I went through a lot of struggles with my parents, with my sister, with my husband's family. So things are not going to stop just because you're in college. But you're going to have your why and your drive have to be able to push through that and continue to your goal, to your end goal. And whatever, career path you choose, I don't believe that there is one better than the other. And that as an immigrant, sometimes we focus on something a career that's going to be able to help us provide rather than make us happy sometimes. And I guess I'm very lucky that I didn't really have to think that way. My parents, my husband, my community wanted to see me do something that I loved, which is psychology. So that's something that I'm very, very passionate about. And mental health is something that I talk about all the time and try to destigmatize, right, within our own culture. So, yeah.
Yes, very, very important. So I'm always talking about community college, and I'm a big advocate for community college because I find that if you don't know what you want to study, it's a good way to take classes, to meet with our career center or mentors and advisors to kind of help you pick a career path. Also, community colleges is an affordable option for many students, not just undocumented students, but even students who have FAFSA, financial aid or scholarships. And I've been dedicating the last 8 years of my professional life to working within the community college system, whether it's in Illinois, Texas, or Florida. I find that community college really opens up a lot of doors and opportunities. I am a big believer in helping students make good, informed decisions about their education so they're not in debt in the future. Because I always find that college debt is like a death sentence because it's always going to be there and it's never going to go away. So I think it's it's a great opportunity for people, for any student, whether you're documented or you're not, that community colleges provide you that affordability and accessibility. You do have to, as a student, take some responsibility for your education, right? I always encourage students, don't just pick any class, because I think sometimes students are like, well, I've been here 5-6 years. Well, have you ever met with an academic advisor who can help plan and navigate college with you? No. So I think sometimes community colleges get a bad rap because students go and they never graduate. Well, if you keep changing careers, some classes may not fit a career and it might not transfer to another university. So again, community college can really help you and provide that support. If you connect with an office, I used to work in the multicultural office where I was an academic advisor, but any college across the country now should have some type of academic center or support for all of its students. So students and I always encourage students to take charge of your education, know what degree path you're on, know what classes you need, know what the prerequisites are. And many students don't do that proper planning, because I know leaving high school, sometimes it's hard to pick your classes because you didn't really pick your classes in high school. I mean, you had a limited say, but in college, it's really all up to you. So what advice do you give to students in high school or in college who are undocumented, who have DACA, who want to go to college but feel like they can't go to college? What are some resources or tips that you'd like to share?
I think, first of all, is that you're not alone. Sometimes we box ourselves in and say, well, just because my two closest friends do not have this problem, that means that I'm by myself. And no, you're not by yourself. There's a lot of students in the same, boat as you are. And sometimes while you're navigating, that route, if to choose a community college or you choosing a 4-year university, and maybe if you're a first generation student and you don't have any other individuals to look up to or to ask about it, you feel that nobody will understand, right? But sometimes it's just even talking to your mom or your dad or your siblings about, hey, I'm struggling in this, and just seeking that support next to you. It's not that you're dumping all this struggles on them, because I think that was something that happened to me. I felt like I couldn't express what I felt like my barriers were, just because I felt that I was going to be overwhelming my family, overwhelming a professor, overwhelming a friend. And that's not really it. Your friends, your professors, your family, your advisors, they want to see you succeed. They appreciate you enough to want to see you do great things. And just because you're opening about a struggle that you're facing doesn't mean that that's going to overwhelm them. At the end of the day, they're there to support you, and listening is the biggest support. So you're not alone. Choose how you want to express it. Sometimes you may not have the words, or maybe you haven't even identified what it is that's stopping you from telling them, or what it is that's stopping you from enrolling or seeking the resource. Just reflect a little bit and then open up about it. Because if you draw on it, if you're keeping it to yourself, sometimes that's going to hurt in the long run, which, can create burnout too, which happened to me during my higher education. So definitely open up. And I guess my advice for parents, right? I'm a parent myself. My kid is going to be turning 13 years old this March, and he's going to be a full teenager, right? So he's going to look into college opportunities in 5 years? Less than 5 years?
Yeah, right now.
I know. And I think I'm grateful that I've been through this journey here in the States, that I understand it a little bit more, not all of it. But definitely for those who are parents and have never navigated college in the States, I think sometimes your student does not need to hear any more words, but feeling that your support through hugs, through the looks that you give them, through meals that you provide them with, is more than enough, that they'll never, really repay you for all that. I know my mom for a fact. She saw me cry, she hugged. She saw me stressed out in front of the computer, and she brought me a meal, things like that. She supported me with taking my kids on the weekends when I had schoolwork. Even though I didn't have class, knew I had to type papers, and all those things matter. And parents, I think that you don't really necessarily have to understand step by step on how college works to be able to be there for your child. I think the biggest thing that I can say is my motivational phrase, right?
Yes, your motivation. What keeps you going?
Is, if not you, then who? And if not now, then when, right? And I think that was the first time that pushed me to pursue higher education, was being a paraprofessional, and that I did not see the support for the families. And I thought to myself, maybe I won't be able to immediately impact these students right now. And that was 8 years ago. But maybe I can do it one day if I prepare myself, right? So thankfully, all my education has gotten me to the point where I work at a nonprofit and basically serving families in a holistic way. So I'm able to listen to them. I'm able to take what their fears, their barriers, and push them to find a solution that's not only going to impact them individually, but their children as well, or maybe an older parent that lives at home, and basically support their family system to overcome the feeling of loneliness, the feeling of helplessness, the feeling of this is not going to get any better. So definitely, I will never regret the decision of going into higher education and going into community college. And that definitely has changed my life. And I'm grateful for every opportunity that has come from within it.
Thank you. Muchas gracias for sharing your inspirational and powerful story. I know your story is going to impact many of our students who might feel lost or not sure where to start. I truly believe that if you have a goal, you have to work towards that goal every single day of your life. And at first, going to college might seem like a very overwhelming, complicated goal. But if you break up that goal into little parts or little pieces, then it doesn't become as complicated, right? If an associate's degree seems like a lot, think about a certificate, and then work towards the next credential, an associate's, and then work towards your bachelor's. And if you're interested in getting more education, as Anna right now, she's getting her master's degree in psychology, it is possible. And you're not competing against anyone. You're on your own journey. You're on your own pace. Because when you compare yourself to others, then that's when you start getting stressed out and you start to develop anxiety. But no one's walking your shoes. No one's walking your path. No one is going through the same struggles as you are. So thank you, Anna, for sharing your struggles, which I know have strengthened you over the years. I'm so proud to see where you are right now. I'm excited that we're still in touch. And I'm honored to have been part of your story, your educational journey. And you and your husband are both a beautiful example of what an education can do to a family. And your kids are going to look up to you as like, wow, my parents are college graduates. They're going to want to go to college. And sometimes, you can't be what you can't see. Right?
Exactly.
So if you never saw anyone that looked like you, spoke the same language, had the same immigration status as you, it's hard. It's hard to achieve that. So I think you're a beautiful example to your children, to our families, to our community. So again, thank you so much, Anna.
No, thank you, Martha, for doing the outreach. Because the first time that I actually, met you was through an outreach event, through a nonprofit again, through, advocating for immigrant refugee rights, that you brought, the information about community colleges to our area. And that was the first time that I was like, oh, look, someone speaks Spanish and it's actually from a community college.
Yeah.
And, she's actually looking for, individuals who are interested in community college and believes that we can actually get a degree for this.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's amazing. Thank you, Martha.
Yeah. And that outreach is so important. So if you're listening and you're a higher education professional or administrator or even president of a college, remember that outreach that you do to your community by bringing the college to the community is really going to make it more accessible to our community. And if our community has professionals that look like them, speak their language, I was never afraid to go speak at a church or a nonprofit organization or una feria, community fair. I knew that in order for me to increase the number of Latinos, Latinas, Latinx students in higher ed, it had to be by going to the community first and developing that bridge and that trust. And so, and that's just part of culturally our cultura. We don't always sit down and do business. We actually like to have some café con leche with one another and let's get to know each other. ¿Quién eres? How are you? ¿Cómo estás? And I know some of that has been lost with the pandemic. And so we're reinventing ways that we connect with our community. But, higher ed needs to be in those spaces, because our community needs to know and see and feel that the local community college or universities care about their community. And if you're not present there, then there isn't that interaction, that bridge, that trust that's built. And I know everywhere I went, that was always my goal, to connect the community to the college and to provide that bridge so the students and the parents and the families can go to college. Because I always say, when somebody goes to college, it's not just the student, it's the whole family.
It is.
And it's educating. And I would tell students, I'm like, come to my office after meeting, with you guys in the community. I'm like, and bring your papa, tu mama, tu abuelita. Who needs to understand your journey? I'll explain it to them in their language, in their own terms, in their own time. So it's really important, this connection with community and the universities and developing that trust in order for us to increase our numbers, but also help our students to graduate.
Correct. And I think another thing that, kind of stopped me from enrolling in college was the fear that I was maybe too old, that I was a mother, that it's been too long since I graduated from high school, so I may not be at the same pace as everybody else who maybe just finished high school, and are used to the workload, that I had other obligations that were priorities. And I think now to myself, there is no ideal college student, right? Everybody enrolls when they're ready. And just because you do have other external responsibilities and do have other roles in your life doesn't stop you from pursuing a degree.
Exactly.
You can do it. Definitely there's going to be barriers. But again, like I said, you're not alone.
Yeah, the average student at a community college is in their mid to late 20s. Mm-hmm. So sometimes students do work after high school. But remember that with the more education, the more doors, opportunities are going to open up to you. Thank you for sharing your story and for allowing others to walk your journey with you. And I always feel that the more our students can connect with people that share similar stories, the more they will feel visible.
Thank you, Martha, for doing what you're doing and, continuing to help everyone around.
Muchas gracias por escuchar. Thank you for listening. This episode was produced by the Marta Empowers podcast team. The theme song, El Barrio, is composed and produced by Edwin Miranda. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe, leave a comment, and share with others so together juntos we can change, transform, and empower our comunidad. Follow us on social media, #MartaEmpowers. If there is a topic or question you'd like for me to discuss on a future episode, please send me a message or tag me on Facebook or Instagram. To contact us, you can send an email to martaempowers@gmail.com. In the meantime, siga adelante y échale muchas ganas. Nos vemos pronto. Adiós. Ciao.